If you ever fake your death, make sure your enemies are the ones who bury you. The cold river water swallowed her whole. Lynn Anke felt her lungs burn as she fought against the current. Above her, the taillights of the black car disappeared into the night. This was supposed to be my engagement party. Hands grabbed her, pulling her onto the muddy bank. She coughed up water, her vision blurry. A familiar face hovered above her, her twin sister, Lynn Zia. "Shh. To the world you're dead now," Zia whispered. "Let them mourn. Then we'll make them pay." Anke closed her eyes. The game had just begun. The river water was icy cold as the body floated face down near the docks. Two fishermen pulled it, ashore, their hands shaking when they saw the expensive silk dress. "Call the police," one shouted. "It's that missing businesswoman, Lynn Anke." But in the shadows across the street, the real Lynn Anke watched silently, her face hidden under a hoodie. She touched the identical jade pendant around her neck, the one her twin sister Shia now wore in the water. The plan was working perfectly. They think I'm dead, Anke whispered, her breath fogging in the cold air. A bitter smile touched her lips as she remembered that night 2 weeks ago, the night her fiancé Song Jen and her best friend Zhao Yating had tried to kill her. The police arrived, flashing cameras lighting up the scene. Anke turned away. Let them examine the body. Let them declare it a suicide. The medical reports would confirm it was her. Same height, same DNA. Only she and Zia knew the truth. Her phone buzzed. A text from Zia. They took the bait. Funeral tomorrow. Are you ready? Anke typed back quickly. I've been ready since they pushed me in that river. She slipped the phone in her pocket and walked away, her wet shoes leaving faint marks on the pavement. The game had begun. By the time Song Jen and Zhao Yating realized their mistake, it would be too late. The morning papers would scream about the tragic death of the Jade Horizon heiress. The business world would mourn, and her enemies would celebrate, not knowing their real nightmare was just beginning. Anke disappeared into the night, her revenge already taking shape. They wanted her dead? Fine. Now, she had nothing left to lose. But let's go back to the beginning, to the night when everything went wrong. The Grand Imperial Hotel's golden elevators reflected Lynn Anke's nervous smile as she adjusted the emerald necklace at her throat. The precious stone felt heavy tonight, a family heirloom her father had given her just that morning with tears in his eyes. Outside the elevator doors, she could already hear the string quartet playing and the murmur of Hong Kong's elite gathering for her engagement party. Breathe, she told her reflection in the elevator mirrors. Tonight should have been the happiest night of her life. Song Jen, the man she'd loved since their university days, was finally becoming her fiancé. The Lin and Song families would unite their business empires. Everything was perfect. So why did her stomach twist with unease? Tifui. Elevator doors opened to reveal a ballroom transformed into a glittering wonderland. Thousands of fresh roses from the Lin family's private gardens scented the air. Crystal chandeliers cast rainbow prisms across the marble floors, and at the center of it all stood Song Jen, looking devastatingly handsome in his tailored tuxedo. "Darling!" Jen's voice carried across the room as he spotted her. He crossed the floor in long strides, his patent leather shoes clicking against the marble. When he took her hands, his palms were suspiciously damp. "You look absolutely stunning. That dress..." Anke smoothed the custom-made gown, its silver threads catching the light. "You like it?" "Yachting helped me pick the fabric." She glanced around the crowded room. "Speaking of which, where is Yachting? I haven't seen her yet." Jen's smile faltered for just a second. "Oh, you know Yachting. Probably making some grand entrance." He pressed a champagne flute into her hand. "Come, your father wants to toast us." As Jen led her through the crowd, Anke noticed the subtle shifts in the room. Old Mrs. Wu from the bank kept giving her pitying looks. The Song family lawyers huddled in a corner, whispering over documents. And where was Jia? Her twin sister had promised to come despite their father's disapproval. Anki! Her father's voice boomed across the terrace where he stood with the champagne tower. Lin Yusheng looked every inch the powerful business magnate in his traditional Changshan, though his hands trembled slightly as he hugged her. My precious daughter. Tonight our families become one. As the toast began, Anki found herself studying Jen's profile. The way his jaw clenched when her father mentioned the merger, the nervous tap of his finger against his champagne flute. They'd been together 3 years. She knew all his tells. Something was wrong. And to the happy couple. The crowd cheered as the champagne cascaded down the tower. Anki forced a smile and sipped her drink, the bubbles stinging her nose. The next hour passed in a blur of handshakes and hollow congratulations. Anchi kept searching the crowd for Yachting's familiar face, but her best friend was nowhere to be found. Finally, excusing herself to fix her makeup, she slipped away from the party. The hallway to the ladies' room was mercifully quiet. Anki leaned against the wall, finally able to breathe. Maybe she was being paranoid. Maybe the stress of the wedding planning was getting to her. She pulled out her phone to call Zia. Her sister always knew how to calm her nerves. That's when she heard the voices. After she signs the shares over next week, Jen was saying, his voice muffled through the door of the hotel's private study. Anki froze. The prenuptial agreement. The one Jen had insisted they sign before the engagement. The one that would transfer control of her 30% stake in Jade Horizon to him after their marriage. A familiar laugh made her blood run cold. Yachting. Don't worry, lover. The river behind the textile factory is deep this time of year. By the time they find her body, the merger will be complete. Anki's hand flew to her mouth to stifle a gasp. The textile factory, where she jogged every Saturday morning, where Jen had recently installed new security cameras, where Yachting had started coincidentally joining her on runs. The doorknob turned. Anki barely had time to duck into an alcove. Before Jen and Yachting emerged, their arms wrapped around each other in a way that had nothing to do with friendship. I'll meet you at the car in 20 minutes, Jen murmured, kissing Yachting's neck in a way he'd never kissed Anki. Make sure the sedative is ready. As they separated down the hallway, Anki's mind raced. The late-night business trips, Yachting's sudden interest in her jogging routine, Jen's insistence that she update her will. It had all been leading to this. Her hands shook as she pulled out her phone. She needed to get out. Now. Call Zia. Call the police. Anything. The service elevator seemed her best chance. Anki slipped inside just as a waiter came around the corner, pressing the garage button repeatedly, as if that would make the elevator move faster. When the doors opened to the underground garage, the cold air hit her like a slap. Mr. Chen? She called for her driver, her voice echoing off concrete pillars. No response. Headlights flashed as a black sedan screeched to a halt inches from her. The passenger window rolled down to reveal Yachting's smiling face, her perfect lipstick untouched by the champagne toast she'd supposedly missed. Going somewhere, bestie? Yachting purred. Anki's breath came in short gasps as she saw Jen in the driver's seat, and in the back seat, was that rope? A tarp? She turned to run, but strong arms grabbed her from behind. A cloth pressed over her mouth smelled sickly sweet, like almonds and chemicals. As darkness swallowed her vision, Anki's last thought was of Shia's warning months ago. That man will destroy you. She should have listened. The car engine roared as consciousness slipped away. The first thing Anki felt was cold. The bone-deep river water cold that made her whole body shake. Then came the pain. A throbbing ache at the back of her skull where they'd hit her. She tried to move, but rough ropes cut into her wrists and ankles. Awake already? Yachting's voice cut through the roar of the car engine. We were hoping you'd stay asleep for the big plunge. Through blurry vision, Anki saw the city lights flashing outside the car window. They were already on the West Kowloon Highway, heading toward the textile factory district. Toward the river where they planned to dump her body, Jen glanced at her in the rearview mirror. Don't look so scared, darling. It'll look like suicide. The perfect tragic ending for the depressed heiress. He chuckled. Your father will be heartbroken when he finds your note. Anki's mouth was dry from the drugs, but she forced out the words. Xia knows about you. Yachting turned sharply in the passenger seat. What did you say? My sister has proof. It was a bluff, but the way Yachting's face paled told Anki it might work. Jen's knuckles whitened on the steering wheel. Doesn't matter. After tonight, no one will believe a word that crazy twin says. The car swerved onto the dirt road leading to the factory. Anki's heart pounded as she saw the dark outline of the river ahead, its surface glittering under the moonlight. This was it. Yachting turned around with a syringe. Night-night, princess. The needle bit into Anki's arm just as the car doors flew open. Strong hands dragged her out into the cold night air. The last thing she heard before the darkness took her was the splash of something heavy hitting the water. Jade Horizon heiress found dead, screamed the newspaper headlines. The TV news played on loop, footage of police divers recovering a woman's body from the river, the blurred-out shape of a jade pendant visible around the neck. In a Macau safe house, the real Anki watched the coverage with her twin sister Zia. You should have told me sooner, Zia said, rewrapping the bandage on Anki's wrist where the ropes had burned her skin. Anki winced. I thought I could handle it. I thought he loved me. Zia snorted. Love? Jen only loves money and power. She handed Anki a steaming bowl of congee. Eat. You'll need your strength. On the TV, Jen gave a tearful press conference. Anki had been depressed for months, he lied smoothly. If only I'd seen the signs. Anki's hands shook with rage as she watched Yachting comfort Jen for the cameras. We have to stop them. Sia smiled the dangerous smile that always meant trouble. Oh, we will, but first, she tossed a passport onto the bed. You're dead, remember? Time to become someone new. While the world mourned, Anki began her training. Xia taught her to fight in the back room of a Macau casino, how to throw a punch that would break a man's nose, how to use high heels as weapons. Most importantly, how to disappear in plain sight. 3 months later, when Anki looked in the mirror, she barely recognized herself. Gone was the naive heiress. The woman staring back had a fire in her eyes. Ready? Sia asked, holding out a black dress. Anki took it. Let's make them regret the day they crossed us. The grand reopening of Jade Horizon was supposed to be Jen's triumph. The Grand Hyatt ballroom shimmered with crystal and champagne as Hong Kong's elite gathered for the wedding of the decade. At the center of it all stood Song Jen, looking every inch the triumphant CEO in his tailored tuxedo, his arm possessively around Yachting's waist as they accepted congratulations. To new beginnings! Jen raised his glass, the diamond cufflinks Anki had given him glinting under the chandeliers. The crowd cheered as he kissed his bride-to-be, the same lips that had whispered love to Anki just months before. No one noticed the woman in black slip through the service entrance. Anki adjusted her wide-brimmed hat, the veil hiding features the world believed were rotting at the bottom of the river. She moved like a shadow between the tables, her heartbeat steady despite the rage simmering in her veins. Sia's training had prepared her for this moment. The string quartet began the wedding march. Yachting floated down the aisle in a cloud of white silk, her smile radiant as she locked eyes with Jen. The priest cleared his throat. If anyone objects to this union, I do. A gasp rippled through the crowd as Anki threw off her hat. The music screeched to a halt. Yachting's bouquet hit the floor with a thud. Jen's face drained of color. Anki? But you're dead? Anki's laugh cut through the stunned silence. She tapped the jade pendant at her throat, the twin to the one they'd buried. You should have. Checked the dental records. Chaos erupted. Cameras flashed. Wedding guests scrambled back as Anki strode down the aisle, her heels clicking like a countdown to doom. Surprise, darling. She stopped inches from Jen, close enough to smell his familiar cologne, now mixed with Yachting's perfume. Miss me? Yachting made a strangled sound. This is impossible. We saw you. You saw what Sia wanted you to see. Anki turned to the crowd, raising her voice. My fiancé and my best friend tried to murder me for my inheritance. Tonight, you'll all hear the truth. Jen recovered first, his politician's smile sliding into place. Everyone, please, my poor Anki has been through trauma. She's clearly confused. He reached for her arm. Let's talk privately. Anki twisted his wrist until he yelped. Oh, we'll talk, right after the police hear this. She pulled a phone from her pocket and hit play. The ballroom speakers crackled to life with Jen's voice. The river behind the textile factory is deep this time of year. As the recording played their entire murder plot, Anki watched the color drain from their faces. The crowd's murmurs turned to shouts of outrage. Someone called the police. Yachting lunged, her manicured hands clawing at Anki's face. You ruined everything. Anki dodged easily. Zia had trained her well and used Yachting's momentum to send her crashing into the wedding cake. Cream and roses exploded across the white dress. Jen backed away, eyes wild. You'll never prove anything. My lawyers will. Already handled. Anki nodded toward the entrance, where police officers pushed through the crowd. I've spent 6 months gathering evidence. Embezzlement, fraud, and of course, conspiracy to commit murder. As handcuffs clicked around Jen's wrists, Anki leaned close. You should have killed us both when you had the chance. The ballroom erupted into chaos, reporters shouting questions, wedding guests filming on phones, Jen screaming threats as officers dragged him away. Through it all, Anki stood perfectly still, watching the destruction of the people who'd tried to destroy her. From the shadows, Zia gave her a thumbs up. Would you confront your killer? Comment yes or no below. But the game wasn't over yet. Jen paced his penthouse office like a caged tiger. 3 days after the wedding disaster, his lawyers still couldn't make the murder charges stick. But the media circus was costing him millions. His phone buzzed. Another board member resigning. Damn her! He hurled his whiskey glass at the wall. The amber liquid dripped down like tears over his framed Businessman of the Year award. A knock at the door. His secretary entered, eyes downcast. Sir, Ms. Zhao is here. She says it's urgent. Yachting stormed in before he could respond, her usually perfect hair disheveled. They froze my accounts. My mother can't even buy groceries. Jen grabbed her wrists. Keep your voice down. This is temporary. My lawyers? Your lawyers? Yachting wrenched free. My lawyer says I'm facing 20 years. They have the security footage from the hotel, the drug receipts. A notification pinged on Jen's computer. An encrypted email with no subject line. His blood turned to ice when he opened it. Dear Jen, remember our little boat ride? Attached, you'll find the following. Your Cayman Islands account statements, empty now. Your text with the coroner, forwarded to police. The real prenup, the one where you pay me if we divorce. P.S. Check your company servers. Love, Anki. Jen's hands shook as he dialed IT. Lock down the... It's too late, sir, the tech whispered. Someone just wiped all our merger files. The backup drives, too. Across town, Anki watched the chaos unfold from Zia's hacker den. 3 monitors displayed Jen's frantic calls to his banker, yating and sobbing in a police interrogation room. Jade Horizon's stock price plummeted in real time, Phase 1 complete, Zia said, cracking her knuckles. Ready for the main event? Anki opened a sleek black laptop. With a few keystrokes, she accessed Jen's cloud storage. Let's see how he likes his own medicine. Live press conference. 3 p.m. reporters jostled as Jen took the podium, his tailored suit unable to hide the sweat stains. Lies, he shouted over the clamor. Lin Anki is manipulating. The projector screen behind him flickered to life. Not his prepared slides, but a video feed. There was Yachting, clear as day, handing cash to a dock worker. Make sure the body sinks. There's another $50K when it's done. The room erupted. Jen spun to see Anki standing at the back in a blood-red pantsuit. Hello, darling. Her voice carried through the stunned silence. Miss me? Jen lunged, but security guards grabbed him, the same ones he'd paid to look the other way that night at the river. As cameras flashed, Anki stepped forward. Anki stepped. The police have all the evidence, every bribe, every lie. She met Jen's wild eyes. You shouldn't have used the same password for everything. Outside, the wail of police sirens grew louder. The boardroom of Jade Horizon had never seen such chaos. Glass walls reflected the morning sun as Anki stood facing Yachting across the massive conference table, the scent of expensive coffee mixed with the metallic tang of fear in the air. You ruined everything! Yachting screamed, her designer heels clicking against the marble floor as she lunged. Anki sidestepped just in time. Sia's training kicked in. 3 months of grueling combat drills in that Macau warehouse. She grabbed Yachting's wrist and twisted. You did that yourself when you pushed me into that river. Yachting responded by yanking Anki's hair so hard, tears sprang to her eyes. They crashed into the glass wall, sending cracks spiderwebbing across the surface. Somewhere in the background, executives scrambled for the exits. You were always in my way, Yachting spat, her manicured nails digging into Anki's arms. First at university, then with Jen, now with the company. Anki kneed her in the stomach. Funny. I thought we were friends. She took advantage of Yachting's gasp of pain to flip her onto the conference table. Papers flew everywhere as Yachting's back hit the wood. Across the room, Jen frantically punched numbers into his phone. Security, now! His usually perfect hair stood in wild tufts. The doors burst open, but it wasn't security. 6 police officers entered, led by Inspector Chen. Song Jen, you're under arrest for fraud, conspiracy to commit murder, and about 12 other charges we'll read on the way. Jen's face turned the color of spoiled milk. This is a mistake. My lawyers are already at the station, the inspector finished, along with all your financial records. Seems someone, he nodded at Anki, provided very thorough documentation. As the officers dragged Jen away, his screams echoed down the hallway. Anki, you'll regret this, The door swung shut, cutting off his threats. Yachting chose that moment to make her move. She grabbed a broken water glass from the floor and swung at Anki's face. Big mistake. Anki ducked and delivered a perfect right hook to Yachting's jaw, just like Sia had taught her. Yachting crumpled to the ground, her expensive blouse now stained, with coffee and blood. Inspector Chen sighed. Zhao Yachting, you're under arrest too. He cuffed her as she moaned on the floor. Anki straightened her blazer, breathing hard. She looked around at the destroyed boardroom, shattered glass, overturned chairs, confidential documents everywhere. It looked like a typhoon had hit it. Xia appeared in the doorway, grinning. Nice right hook. She held up her phone. Got the whole thing on video, too. Anki laughed despite herself. The sound felt strange after months of anger. Let's get out of here. As they walked past the gathered employees, Anki noticed their expressions, shock, awe, and even some smiles. The same people who'd whispered about her suicide now watched with new respect. In the elevator down, Zia nudged her. So, who do you think deserved worse? The backstabbing best friend or the murderous fiancé? Anki thought about it as the numbers counted down. Neither, she finally said. Living with what they've done? That's worse than any punishment. The doors opened to a crowd of reporters. Cameras flashed as Anki stepped forward, ready to face her future. Who deserved worse, Jen or Yachting? 1 year later, the scent of fresh paint and new leather chairs filled the executive suite of Jade Horizon's headquarters. Anki ran her fingers along the smooth surface of her new desk, a modern, minimalist design to replace the ornate one Jen had always favored. The morning sun streamed through floor-to-ceiling windows, casting golden rectangles across the plush carpet where Yachting had once collapsed in defeat. A knock interrupted her thoughts. Madam CEO, her assistant said, peeking in. The board is waiting for your presentation. Anki straightened her emerald green blazer, the same color as the necklace she'd nearly died wearing. Tell them I'll be right there. As she gathered her tablet, her eyes caught the framed newspaper on the wall. Jade Horizon rises from scandal. Lin sisters restore family legacy. Below it, smaller clippings showed Jen's sentencing and Yading's tearful perp walk. Anki allowed herself a small smile before heading to the boardroom. The elevator doors opened to reveal Zia leaning against the wall, looking completely out of place in her ripped jeans among the suited executives. "Took you long enough," Zia said, falling into step beside her. "I was about to start the meeting without you." "You? In a board meeting?" Anki raised an eyebrow. She grinned. "I'd have made it more interesting. Maybe a drinking game every time. Someone says quarterly earnings." Their laughter faded as they entered the boardroom. 20 solemn faces turned toward them. These were the survivors, the ones who hadn't conspired with Jen, who'd stayed loyal during the darkest days. Anki placed her tablet on the table. "Before we begin, I want to thank you all for standing with Jade Horizon through..." She paused, searching for the right word. "The shit show?" Zia offered helpfully. A nervous chuckle rippled through the room. "Yes," Anki agreed. "That." She tapped her screen, and the wall display lit up with financial charts. "Because of your loyalty, we've not only recovered but grown. Our new partnerships in Singapore and Shanghai have increased revenue by 37% this quarter." A round of applause broke out. Anki waited for it to die down before continuing. "But numbers aren't why we're here today." She nodded to Shia, who dramatically pulled a black cloth off a large object in the corner. The original Jade Horizon logo, the one Jen had replaced with his own design, gleamed under the lights. "This company was built by my father's sweat and blood," Anki said, her voice steady. "Not by lies and betrayal. From today forward, we do business the right way." The board members stood in unanimous approval. Even old Mr. Wu, who'd been with the company since the beginning, wiped his eyes. Later that evening, the sisters sat on the penthouse balcony overlooking Hong Kong's glittering skyline. The same view Jen had enjoyed while plotting his schemes. Shia handed Anki a beer. "To the good guys winning for once." Anki clinked the bottle but didn't drink. Her gaze drifted to the prison complex, barely visible in the distance. "You're wondering about them, aren't you?" Sia asked. "A little." Anki sighed. "Do you think Zhen realizes yet that I transferred all his remaining assets to his victims' fund?" Sia nearly spits out her drink. "That's evil. I love it." The wind carried the sounds of the city up to them. Car horns, laughter, life moving forward. "You know what the best part is?" Anki mused. "We don't have to think about them ever again. The best revenge? Living well. Drop A if you agree. Would you have forgiven Jen and yachting? Comment below. Pin your favorite moment where the sisters outsmarted them. Don't forget to smash that like button. New revenge stories every Friday.